Good morning, children. We are entering into the last chapter of your first semester. This is lipids. Whatever you see here are pictures concerned with the lipids. You are familiar with the people who are extremely obese. Deposition of lipids or fat in the body. And do you know that biological lipids or oils are used as biofuels? You might have heard of biodiesel, a type of lipids actually. Cooking oils which you are using in your home is actually lipid. In your body, atherosclerosis and other arterial plaques are actually caused by lipids. You are familiar with this picture, the plasma membrane, lipid bilayer model of plasma membrane. Remember, the membranes inside the cell and around the cell are made up of lipids. So let us study the structural features of different types of lipids. This is your syllabus. You need to study the structure and the classification and also biological functions. What are the physiological functions of lipids? Lipids are actually important energy sources for both plants and animals. 1 gram of lipid can give us more than 9 kilocalorie of energy. We say the most concentrated storage form of energy is actually lipid. Contains more than double the amount of energy that can be obtained from equivalent weight of protein or carbohydrate. It is offering thermal insulation. This polar bear, it has actually thermal insulation. One of the reason is the hair, and then another reason is there actually fat in the body. Also, you might have heard of blue whale in the ocean. It has something called a blubber, a very thick deposit of fat in the body. It is providing with the thermal insulation. And it is providing us with electrical insulation in your myelin sheath in neurons. And many hormones, for example, steroid hormones are lipids. You know that we have something called fat soluble vitamins. So these lipids are acting as solvents for vitamins. And the lipids are structural components of cell membrane as you see here. This is a plasma membrane. Lipids are there in it. This is the myelinated nerve fiber. You can see the myelin sheath which is made up of lipids. So lipids are there in all aspects of our life. Classification. Lipids may be classified under several headings. This is one of the simplest way of classifying lipids. Simple lipids, compound lipids and derived lipids. Simple lipids are actually they are actually composed of lipid substances only. Fats and oils are there and waxes are there. Compound lipids they consist of lipid plus phosphate, etc. Then we call them phospholipid. When they are associated with the carbohydrate, we call them glycolipids. When they are associated with the sulfur containing compounds, we call them sulfolipids, etc. And derived lipids, the fractions or components obtained from lipids. Or we say alcohols are there in some type of liquid. For example, glycerol is there in triglycerides. Fatty acids are important components of lipids. Sterols are a type of derived lipid. We may say it's a complex type of lipid made up of steroid rings. Isoprenoids are also there. And we are going to study about some of them in detail. This is the classification of lipids obtained from a textbook. You see, if you look at the chapter number, etc., you can easily find out which is the textbook. I have given in this textbook. You see, this is the classification of membrane lipids only, the different types of lipids found on your membrane. There is the triglyceride made up of a glycerol and 3 fatty acid molecules. This is a triglyceride we are going to study in detail. Then we have the phospholipids. Phospholipids are of two types, glycerophospholipid and sphingolipid. In glycerophospholipid, glycerol is there, fatty acids are there, and phosphate is there. Sometimes it may have an alcohol, glycerophospholipids. Actually, glycerophospholipids are present in the plasma membranes, etc. And the sphingolipids are there. In sphingolipids, the alcohol is not glycerol, instead it is sphingosine. And then fatty acid is there, or phosphate is there, choline is there, then we call them sphingolipids. Remember, we will see the sphingolipids once again, where here in this heading, here it was under phospholipids, phosphosphingolipid, because it contains phosphate. Here it is under glycolipids. Glyco means something concerned with the carbohydrate. In glycosphingolipid, sphingosine is there, fatty acid is there, then what else is there? Oligosaccharide or carbohydrate is there. This is glycosphingolipid. And then we have galactolipids, also called sulfolipids. Here, sphingosine is not there, glycerol is there, fatty acid and fatty acid, and here there is a carbohydrate. And it is attached with the sulfate group. That's why we call it sulfolipid. And then we have some of the lipids obtained from archaebacteria. Glycerol is there, and different types of fatty acids are there. We are not that much concerned about it, but remember, they are in either linkage. That's all. Otherwise, we are not that much concerned about them. What is a fatty acid? You see, in the previous slide, we found that fatty acids are components of lipids. Basic triglycerides consist of fatty acids and glycerol. Now we are going to see each of these components in detail. What are fatty acids? Fatty acids are hydrocarbon derivatives, and they are terminating with a carboxylic group. What is carboxylic group? COOH is carboxylic group. And what's a fatty acid? A fatty acid consists of a methyl group. What is methyl group? CH3. Then it consists of many CH2 groups. This is CH2 groups. Let me write here N number. What is N? Variable number. So CH3, CH2N times COOH is basically a fatty acid. And so these are hydrocarbons ending with a carboxylic group. The number of carbons may be 4, 6, 10, 15, 20, 24, like that. Usually 16 number carbon atom is there in our body or in the living world, very commonly, for example, palmitic acid. And 18 carbon is there, stearic acid. 18 carbon unsaturated is there, oleic acid, etc., etc. And another feature is that sometimes they may be saturated, which means only carbon-carbon single bonds are there. And sometimes they may be unsaturated, which means one or more carbon-carbon double bond may be there. Here, palmitic acid, we say 16:0. What does it mean? Palmitic acid consists of 16 carbon atoms and 0 double bond. 0 double bond means it is completely saturated. While 18:1, it is for oleic acid. What does it mean 18:1? Totally 18 carbon atoms are there. And Y:1, there is one double bond. So this is unsaturated fatty acid. Often we describe a fatty acid like this. 20:2 means 20 is the total number of carbon atoms. 2 means there are two double bonds. The position of the double bond is delta 9 and 12. What does it mean 9 and 12? The first double bond is between carbon number 9 and 10. The second double bond is between carbon number 12 and 13. Okay. Then how do we number the carbon atoms? Carboxylic carbon is number 1. We know that whenever we number an organic carbon, whenever we number the carbon atoms in an organic compound, the carbon which is bearing the functional group should have the minimum number. Therefore, in these fatty acids, carboxylic carbon is carbon number 1. Okay, we will see. And there is a common pattern in the location of the double bonds. You see, usually it is between carbon number 9 and 10 if there is only single bond. If there is one more double bond, it will be between number 12 and 13. If there is one more, that means a third double bond, it will be between carbon number 15 and 16, like that. But remember, arachidonic acid is an exception. Point 1. Point 2. This double bond is never in the form of alternating single and double bond. Actually, this is not the way of double bonds in a fatty acid. Instead, two double bonded carbon atoms, for example, these two are double bonded carbon atoms, these two are double bonded carbon atoms, they are separated by a methylene group. This is most commonly seen. Okay, and double bonds are in cis configuration in most of the naturally occurring unsaturated fatty acid. Cis configuration, while trans fatty acids are also there, where they are formed by fermentation in the rumen of dairy animals, and they are obtained from dairy products and meat as well. Okay, yeah. And some of the naturally occurring fatty acid, 12:0, it is dodecyanoic acid, commonly called lauric acid. 14:0, myristic acid. 16:0, you make a note of it. Commonly we are dealing with them. It is palmitic acid, 16 carbon with a 0 double bond. 18:0 is stearic acid, 18 carbons with a no double bond stearic acid. 20:0 is actually arachidic acid, not arachidonic acid, it is arachidic acid. Okay, and 16:1, 16 carbon with a 1 double bond, it is palmit oleic acid, palmitic oleic acid. 18:1 oleic acid, 18 carbon with a 1 double bond. You make a note of this. 18:2, 18 carbon with a 2 double bond. Linoleic acid is an essential amino acid. Okay, and 18:3, 9, 12 and 15 is the number of double bonds. It is linolenic acid. It is another essential fatty acid. And what about the position of the double bond? 9, 12, 15, etc. But this is the case of arachidonic acid, 20 carbon polyunsaturated fatty acid. 4 double bonds are there. The bonds of unsaturation are at 5, 8, 11 and 14. Okay, arachidonic acid. And look here, look at the melting point. The melting point is initially increasing when as the carbon number increases. As the carbon number increases, melting point is increasing, but as the degree of unsaturation increases, melting point is decreasing. Okay, you know, coconut oil etc. are actually solids in our situation in the months of November, December, etc. Why? They are mostly consist of saturated fatty acid. While butter, ghee, etc. are solids even at ordinary temperature because they are highly saturated. They are highly saturated. And you know, gingerly oil, sunflower oil, etc. are liquids at room temperature because they contain unsaturated fatty acids. Okay, so there is a relation between melting point and carbon number, melting point and degree of unsaturation. This is the same thing about carbon number and about polarity, etc. And remember, they are not soluble in water. Lipids are not soluble in water. Melting point is influenced by the length and degree of unsaturation, as I told you earlier. In the fully saturated compounds, free rotation around the carbon is possible. So a most stable conformation is there in the fully extended form. So what happens, you know, the fatty acids are extended and they can be tightly packed like this. Different fatty acids can be tightly packed like this in the case of a saturated fatty acid. So they are not moving with respect to each other. But in the case of an unsaturated fatty acid, at the cis double bond, there is a kink. What do you mean by the term kink? Kink means a bend in the molecule. Because of that kink, fatty acids cannot be packed together tightly. Adjacent fatty acids will have a certain bend at different regions. So they cannot be packed tightly. And therefore, it takes only less thermal energy to disorder the poorly ordered arrangement, and therefore they can move with respect to each other. The molecules of the fatty acid can move with respect to each other. That's why they have a lower melting point. Look here, this is a saturated fatty acid. It is a straight molecule actually. Several such molecules are there. They can be packed very tightly. You see, this is an unsaturated fatty acid. At the point of a double bond, there is a bend in the molecule. There is a kink in the molecule. Because of the kink, that molecules cannot be tightly packed together. And therefore, they are loose with respect to each other. They can move with respect to each other. That's why they have a lower melting point. And fatty acids may be classified into essential and non-essential. On what basis? Actually, all are required for our body. But some of the fatty acids cannot be synthesized in our body. We don't have the enzymes for that. So we should supply them in our diet. We call them essential fatty acid. For example, remember linoleic acid and linolenic acid. They are unsaturated. They are unsaturated and they are essential fatty acids. Why do we say some fatty acids are non-essential for us? It's because we need them and our body has the enzyme system, the machinery to synthesize them. Therefore, even if we are not getting them through the diet, nothing is going to happen to us. We can prepare them in our body. That's why we call them non-essential fatty acids. Examples are palmitic acid, stearic acid, etc. And what about the iodine value, acid value, saponification value, etc. of the fats or fatty acid? Iodine value or iodine number. It is the mass of iodine in grams that can be consumed by 100 grams of fat. You know why? Sometimes, as you know, fats contain bonds of unsaturation. If iodine is added to such a fat, these iodine atoms will be taken up by the bonds of unsaturation. You know that when a double bond is broken, one electron each is set free on both the carbon atoms, and accordingly both these carbon atoms absorb one atom of iodine each. So iodine number is an indication of the degree of unsaturation of the fatty acids. What about acid value? You know, sometimes in a fat preparation, free fatty acid will be there or acidic group will be there. These acidic groups can be neutralized by using potassium hydroxide, KOH. So the amount of potassium hydroxide in milligram necessary to neutralize the free fatty acids present in 1 gram of fat, or how many milligrams of potassium hydroxide are required to neutralize the free fatty acids in 1 gram of fat. You know, what does it indicate? It indicates the degree of rancidity. When we keep lipids for a long period of time, they are acted upon by the air or by the light or by the moisture or even by the bacteria, and they are hydrolyzed into other shorter compounds, and because of this effect is actually called rancidity, the breaking down or the hydrolysis of fats into smaller compounds by means of action of bacteria, moisture, etc. That's what's called a rancidity. And by means of rancidity, how many free fatty acids are formed, or what is the degree of rancidity? How far is a fat preparation rancid? That can be measured by measuring the acid value. And saponification value or saponification number is the number of milligrams of potassium hydroxide required to saponify 1 gram of fat under a specific set of conditions. It is a measure of the average molecular weight or chain length of the fatty acids. If the fatty acids have more chain length, that means number of molecules of the fatty acid will be lesser. That means saponification number also will be lesser. Or we say, as the saponification number increases, the chain length of individual fatty acid is decreasing. That means more number of fatty acids is there. Now we are moving on to the next type of lipid in the next slide.